What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like, subscribe to the channel as you tune in and check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on a recent episode of Scap Attack, right? His podcast where he spoke about the defense that is being played around the league, like how this league right now, the NBA league right now, is poor defense. Like this is one of the worst times for NBA basketball, dating back all the way to the 70s when the defense back then was really poor, right? And so I agree with him that defense is really poor right now in the league, but I'm hopeful because of what I'm seeing around the league from the top teams that trend is going to change. I think it's getting back to where it was like in the 80s and the 90s as far as defense. I think it's going to be more competitive. And the reason for that is the better teams in the league are playing defense. Like you got OKC, they play defense, right? Um, the Spurs play defense. Houston Rockets play defense. I like that coach in Houston, Ime Udoka, right? He stresses defense. The which who is it? The even New York Knicks, they play defense. Like Mike Brown is a defensive, he stresses defense. Before him, they had the coach. I like that guy, Thibodeau. Thibodeau, he was a defensive coach, right? So the top teams in the league play defense. And so when teams are winning and by being a copycat league, they're going to other teams are going to do better in order to be able to compete with them, or else they're going to get blown out. You see Detroit Pistons, right? They have great defenders surrounding that guy. What's the guy name? Cade Cunningham. You know, so if you want to be able to compete with the Detroit Pistons, you're gonna have to have some defenders too, like what they have. So the league, in my opinion, is getting back to that. But you do have some teams in the league, um, and you have had teams in the league that have not for a while played defense. The league has always, for a while, it's been about either you shoot a 3-pointer or you get a dunk, like no mid range. Like, and even the mid range is coming back because successful teams are utilizing that mid range. And so, if you want to be able to compete with those teams, you're gonna have to compete with them, with those guys who can hit that 15-foot jump or that 18-foot jumper, right? That mid range. So, in my opinion, it's coming back. And but some of the teams are terrible. You got Atlanta Hawks terrible. It's either a jumper, a 3-point jumper, or it's a dunk, alley oop, something like that. Who else? Charlotte. I'm not gonna go down a list and name all the teams. You got some teams that man, they don't have a problem with giving up 120, 130 points, right? And so let's listen to Scat and what he had to say about the defense around the league, and then I'm gonna come back and give my input.
Well, this NBA product is officially cooked. At least the defense in this era is. The debate is over. It has ended definitively and in resounding fashion as the Chicago Bulls beat the Atlanta Hawks 152 to 150 in regulation. This was a game that included everything wrong about this modern day product. It featured absolutely no defense, none whatsoever. The Chicago Bulls led at halftime in this game 83 to 73. Imagine dropping 73 and a half and trailing by 10 at that point. Chicago shot 57% from the field, while Atlanta in this game shot 52%.
Look, so he said at halftime, the Chicago Bulls had 80 points. They had 83 points, and they was leading the Atlanta Hawks by 10 points. So they had 83 to 73. Back in the day, man, I remember in the 80s, like the Detroit Pistons was famous for only giving up like 80 points a game. Like if you got 90 points against the Detroit Pistons, you did something that game. And here, like they are doubling, almost double the score of what Detroit used to give up when Detroit was on their championship runs.
They combined to jack up 89 three-point shots, and collectively, they made 43 of them. And these are two mediocre teams we're talking about. Mediocre, average as hell. Chicago is just 13-15, while Atlanta is now 15-15.
Look, if I'm a coach in the NBA right now, all you gotta do is play defense to have a decent team. These two teams basically have a 500 record. And if somebody was to give me a NBA coaching job, I would just focus on defense. As long as you don't give up 120 points a game, you can be that would make you even that, playing defense would make you even twice as good as what you already are. But don't nobody want to play defense, right? So you play defense and then you get better at your shot selection. Everybody in this league are professional basketball players, and that's what I say. It's about knowing how to play the game. So if you play defense and you tighten up on your shot selection and your it's just so lackadaisical across the league now. You guys mediocre teams, every shot is a good shot to these guys. Anywhere you want to pull up from, thanks to Steph Curry, wherever you want to pull up from, like that's a good shot. Dame Lillard, that's a good shot. And I think basketball is going to go away from that. The 3-point shot is always there. Just like you can come down the court every time and shoot from half court. That don't mean that's what you should do. That's not basketball. Like the goal was in basketball has always been to get a high percentage shot, to get as close to the basket as you can, whether mid-range or either a layup. People used to try to work and try to get easy baskets. That's the point of moving the ball around, making the defense shift so you can get in position to get an easier shot. But you don't have to, if you're going to shoot a 3-pointer, it's so easy to get a 3-pointer off. People are shooting 3-pointers with guys on them now. At one point in time, it's like, well, if you open for the 3, shoot the 3. Now you give somebody a move and you step to the side and that's a 3-pointer. Or you shoot a step back. I see Luka shooting step back 3s. You can be so much better nowadays just on playing defense and shot selection. You be a 500 team today if you could be like a team with like a 600 record or 65% win if you just shot, especially in the regular season. If you had a better shot selection and you played defense, you could win 65% of your games. So let me get back to Scat.
Yet they are out here dropping 302 points in 48 minutes. Must be all of this skill you're hearing about the players in today's era. Yeah, no. Or the complete and total lack of any semblance of defense whatsoever. To this point of the NBA season, we are roughly a third of the way through, and league-wide nightly scoring averages is currently sitting at a plump 116.5 points per game on a nightly basis, which in other words would be a mere 2 points per game off of the all-time NBA record set all the way back in 1961-62, the season where Wilt Chamberlain averaged 50 for the entire year. There are only, in fact, 4 total seasons at this point that were higher than this one. And
yeah, I just think defense is terrible right now. Defense don't have to be terrible. In the 70s, when they went through that period in late 60s and the 70s where guys, like the scores was high and guys really wasn't playing defense. Remember, after that came the 80s. The Lakers tightened up on defense and made, then you had the Celtics who, they played tough physical defense. Everybody remember when Kurt Rambis got clotheslined. Not that, people should clothesline players, but they didn't, they cut that giving layups out. And that's when basketball really took off. Every play down the court is not going to be a layup. You got to work and earn. You got to earn those open shots and earn those good shots, man. You work hard to get an open shot, work hard to get a good shot. You don't work hard to shoot a 3-pointer or a step back three, man. I see certain guys around the league like the LaMelo Ball. This guy shoot a step back three, and even if you hit it, it's not a good shot. The Charlotte Hornets, they are like at the bottom of the league, and that it looked good, it's pretty, but it's not, that's not a high percentage shot. It's not a shot you're not gonna be able to win no rings or no playoff games getting no step back 3-pointer. That shot is there. That shot has been there since the introduction of basketball. Nobody just never shot it. It's a garbage shot. Luka, he got a step back three. LeBron shoots a step back three. That's not winning basketball. That shot has been there just like the full court. You can heave the ball from full court. And that's the shot it's always available. So when coaches start demanding that these guys learn how to play basketball, man, then that's when basketball is going to get better. And you got some coaches who out here making their kids play basketball, and they winning. So with that being said, man, y'all make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to leave a comment, and I'll check you all out in the next video. Peace.